Hello everyone, glad to have you back. I'm usually not the kind of person to modify any of the games I play. I don't really use any add-ons in WoW, I only really use Optifine for Minecraft, and I've never really played any ROM hacks or similar things. Don't know why, but I just prefer playing games unmodified, even if I've made some exceptions in the past, but that's beside the point. Today, I went out of my comfort zone and added a mod to one of my favorite games of all time. I'm sure most of you know of and have even played F-Zero GX Unleashed before. I've seen a few videos about it and I've followed its development over the years, but since I usually do not enjoy modding any of my games, I stayed away from it until now. I've spent a lot of time with GX over the last few months and thought now would be a good time to try it out, and well, in this video I will tell you all about my experiences with GX Unleashed. I am not going to tell you about every single minor change. Check the mod out for yourself if you want to know about every change, but to sum it up, GX Unleashed is basically a balanced version of GX. We all know that on max speed there are actually only two competitive machines, the Black Bull and the Fat Shark. With this mod, every machine can keep up with those two. Every machine still feels unique, but they are all quite a bit faster than before. Custom parts have also been changed, but more on that later. Now let me commentate a bit on my experiences. I haven't completed everything yet, I'm still missing the higher difficulty staff ghosts, but let's focus on the Grand Prix first. I started where I always begin on a fresh GX playthrough, the first 3 cups on Expert. At first I didn't really feel any changes, but that was quickly changed after I saw that I finished Twist Road in just over a minute. For comparison, you know the staff ghost of this track is one of, if not the hardest one in the entire game. It beats the track with a time of 59.964. On my first race in GX Unleashed I managed to get close to that time, so it is quite noticeable how much faster the machines are now. Oh, and I forgot to mention, everything except one race was done on max speed, so keep that in mind. I really do not want to waste a lot of time on expert difficulty, to be honest. I can't really tell if it's harder or easier than usual because it's just expert. I'm used to master difficulty, so I can't really judge this one. It took me a little while to get used to how the Blue Falcon feels, but around here I started to feel really comfortable. I guess that is an acceptable lead. I know, it's just expert, but still kinda nice. The Sapphire and Emerald Cups are pretty much the same. I only used the Blue Falcon on them as well because it really doesn't matter when the machines are all more balanced, and I only really care about my machine selection on Master anyway. Just so you know, I did story mode before I continued the Grand Prix, so don't be confused on why I'm using AX machines now. Back in the Ruby Cup I decided to use the Hyper Speeder. It's already a pretty good machine in GX, and that's true for Unleashed as well. It feels good, performs well, and is overall a nice machine to use. The Ruby Cup generally has easy tracks, so there were no real problems here. I kind of felt like it was a bit easier than usual, but that may just be the combination of easy tracks, a good machine and some experience. For the Sapphire Cup I used the White Cat, which usually is an okay machine at best, but here it's honestly really good. And fun to use as well. I would even go so far and say that this is the best beginner machine for GX Unleashed. You don't have to do anything special to perform well. The White Cat is pretty fast and handles extremely well. I highly recommend using it in GX Unleashed. The Emerald Cup was a different story. I'm not a big fan of this one to begin with. Both Cylinder Knot and Halfpipe are in this cup. 2 tracks I really dislike. Combine that with my chosen machine, the Groovy Taxi. I like the Groovy Taxi, 99% because of how it looks. It absolutely doesn't perform well in GX, and even with the changes in GX Unleashed it really isn't that much better. It's usable and can keep up with others, no problem, but something just doesn't feel good about it. I can't really point to what it is, it's just not good. I managed to beat it anyway, but it wasn't that enjoyable. I then went back and tried it with the Astro Robin, and that was a much better experience. Next up I had the Diamond Cup, and I used one of my favorite machines in GX, the Rainbow Phoenix. And I don't even know how to describe it, it just feels so good. I already love using it in GX, and here it performs even better than usual. I love it. I still managed to perform like garbage on Phantom Road because I just can't do well on this track, but overall it was a great experience. I kinda wish I used the Rainbow Phoenix on every cup, but that would be boring. Finally, there's the AX Cup, my favorite one of them all. Here I use the Magic Seagull. An alright machine performance-wise, but certainly the best looking machine in all of F-Zero. I mean, look at it. It's beautiful. Anyway, the Magic Seagull performs alright here. It's a bit annoying on lower speeds because, as you can see here, it doesn't really want to turn sometimes, but as soon as you boost, it goes around corners without any issues. Other than that small flaw, it was alright to use. Not as great as the Blue Falcon, White Cat or Rainbow Phoenix, but still lots of fun. Overall, I think Grand Prix felt alright. Since every machine is faster now, it's more balanced. Those changes obviously also apply to your opponent, so it's not just you who goes faster. The one track where this change was really noticeable was Trident. In GX you usually see something like this, the fat shark just dominating. That makes sense since it's the fastest machine in the game, but that's a bit boring to be honest. I have played this track multiple times and always someone else was in front, but in an unmodified game you usually only see the fat shark or black bull in front. But now it is time to talk about the part of the game that I thought felt the most different. Story mode. On chapter 1 the increased speed was already very noticeable on normal difficulty. Hard was not really a problem either. Very hard was a fair challenge, but not even close to the normal game's difficulty. Without GX Unleashed, you pretty much have to do a flawless run to beat it in time, but here you can make minor mistakes. It's still hard, but I feel like this mission is quite a bit easier now. I personally consider chapter 2 to be the easiest out of them all in the normal GX playthrough, and here it's not much different. Yes, both machines are faster, but Goro is cheating most of the race anyway, so there isn't a lot you can do. Most of the challenge, if you can even call it that, comes from being able to dodge these boulders, and nothing changed here. So I feel as if there isn't any noticeable change anyway, except that you beat it quite a bit faster than usual. Chapter 3 is also one of the easier ones. It doesn't feel any different than the usual GP race. All the changes apply to this one as well, so everyone is a bit faster. Which may confuse the AI, because on every difficulty the same machine managed to throw themselves off the track. Always the Green Panther. Is that bad? Anyway, I'm sure the chapter could have been a bit harder, but since our friend Antonio decided to spectate the race from below the track every single time, I guess it's a free win for us. We now move on to my favorite story mode mission, chapter 4. Immediately after starting it, I noticed you start a lot closer to the first set of enemies than usual. Look at this comparison. It isn't much, but it allows you to attack earlier and also perform this well-known trick of boosting ahead to force them all to low health instantly. It's not that hard usually, but here it's even easier. The faster speeds don't really matter here though, since every group slows down to your speed anyway, so the extra speed is just really there to make you finish this chapter faster. Also, this is one of only 2 races that I didn't play on max speed for this playthrough. On hard, I decided to do snaking instead of max speed to see how much faster GX Unleashed is compared to my personal best of 125.007. I'm a bit out of practice when it comes to snaking, but I managed to easily beat my time by about 4 seconds, and I'm sure I could do it even faster if I committed to it. Nothing special, I just wanted to see how different it is, and it's really noticeable if you do it like this. Now it's time to talk about the hardest one of them all, chapter 5. By now, you would know that I consider this to be one of the hardest races in all of F-Zero, on very hard at least. Immediately after finishing normal mode though, I noticed how fast I beat it, and that feeling continued through hard difficulty. Normally, I really struggle to do this mission on max speed, but here I literally did it on my first attempt. I'm not 100% sure, but I think you start a little bit further down the tube, and with the increased speed you manage to do things you wouldn't be able to do usually. Like this gate for example. You can't go through it straight without hitting it, but here, no problem. It feels so weird to say, but I personally think that chapter 5 is kinda easy in GX Unleashed. There isn't a lot I can say about chapter 6. It's long, has a few annoying corners, but that's about it. I wouldn't say it's a lot easier than usual, but it's a bit more forgiving on very hard. Since you're going quite a bit faster here, you can bump into a few walls here and there without instantly triggering the bomb. I still wouldn't recommend reckless driving because it's still possible you lose too much speed and you have to restart. Chapter 7 is another one where you really feel the changes. The added speed helps a lot with beating those 2 cheaters. I like chapter 1, it's still difficult, but here it feels a lot more balanced and fair. In my opinion, this is now the hardest story mode race in GX Unleashed. Next up is yet another race that really feels different than usual. I would normally say chapter 8 is on an average difficulty level, but here it's... well, let me just say how I felt when I played it. It's a joke. As soon as I got my boost, I got past him and the gap just grew bigger every second. Even with all the mistakes I made, Death 1 just was not able to catch up at all. What a shame. It's still a very good race, but without any real challenge, for me at least. I'm sure everyone has seen F-Zero GX at AGDQ 2014. I remember being beyond amazed how CGN managed to beat Deathborn very hard after giving him a 26-second head start. Well, to prove how much easier GX Unleashed is, I tried to do the same thing and succeeded pretty quickly. And I'm no speedrunner, nor am I close to being as skilled as CGN or any of the F-Zero GX speedrunners. I'm sure they could give him an even bigger lead and catch up with ease. Now let's take a quick look at the final chapter. This race is also quite a bit easier here. I think it's kind of funny how early you get a lead and don't have to deal with the ghost at all. I'm not sure, but I think the staff ghosts here are changed. Let me know if this is wrong, I really do not know. This is pretty easy, even though very hard, so I don't really know what to talk about. Let's just move on to my story mode conclusion. The story mode was fun. More fun than in an unmodified version of GX. Why? Because it's balanced and fair. Yes, some of the fun comes from the difficulty, but I just have to be honest here and tell you that some races, especially chapter 5 and very hard, aren't fun. They are frustrating. Maybe it's just me, but I do not enjoy it usually. In GX Unleashed, it's just so much better. Story mode is also easier, but I think you were able to notice that from my gameplay and from the things I said about each chapter. I'm sure players who weren't able to beat some missions on very hard could have a better chance with this mod installed. I really wish I could talk about custom machines, but I want to focus on GX custom machines first, since that is a project that has been going on for some time now and will probably take some more until we are able to draw a conclusion. I'll just tell you this, many parts have been adjusted to be more competitive and just better in general. There are also some parts that are lots better than before, but I haven't played around with them too much yet. Maybe I will make another video about them in the future, and let me know if you're interested in that. But I don't want to leave this part of the video without showing something at least, so I tried what I wanted to try since the beginning. Is the Air Emperor V2 still bad? Well, let's go and find out. And the answer is yes, but not as bad as before. It still barely turns, but it can lose traction and take some corners pretty well once you are fast enough. If you go back and change its setting to acceleration though, it's a different story. Now it actually performs okay-ish. You see, it's still garbage. I wouldn't use it even if I had no other choice, but now I actually think it's possible to beat a Grand Prix with this thing. I have an idea for another video where I just try and beat every couple master with this thing, but I don't think I will be able to do that without losing what's left of my sanity. Maybe if you want to see it and I have enough time to commit to it, let me know in the comments. Now, I quickly want to talk about the worst two machines, the Silver Rat and the Bloodhawk. I have mentioned both before and I'm sure all of you can agree that those two are the absolute worst machines in GX. So how bad do they perform here? Let's take a look at the Silver Rat first. It's still slow, pretty sure it's the slowest machine by far. It only got a little speed increase, but I feel as if that is enough to make it competitive enough for master difficulty. I went to the AX Cup and beat it with relative ease. As you can see from my gameplay, I never really got a big lead and I had to spam my boost to be able to stay in first, but I honestly think it's fine. I personally even think it performs better than some of the machines I tested before, so that's a plus, I guess. The Bloodhawk is a different story. It's still bad. Very bad. The speed increase didn't do much, since speed wasn't its problem anyway. The way bigger problem is the fact that the Bloodhawk slices like crazy as soon as you imagine doing anything else but going in a straight line. It's very hard to control. Maybe someone else is better, but I just couldn't do it. I personally think it's the worst machine in GX Unleashed. I also tried a bunch of other machines and none really felt bad. Some performed better than others, but none really managed to be amazing. I've had the most fun with the Blue Falcon, the White Cat and the Rainbow Phoenix. They all felt pretty amazing and unique. Now to the topic of Staff Ghosts. There are 3 different difficulties: Standard, Expert and Grandmaster. I took one look at the spreadsheet with the times and I knew that I wouldn't be able to beat the Grandmaster or even some of the Expert difficulty ones normally, since I simply do not have the skills required to do that. The Expert ones are more forgiving, but still a lot harder than the normal GX Staff Ghosts. This is surely the hardest thing this mod has to offer, if you go and pick the highest difficulty ones, of course. The others are fine, but still quite a challenge. There are also some other smaller mods you can choose to add if you want them, like the ability to race on some of the story mod courses by replacing existing ones with them. It's a nice idea, but I honestly don't really care too much about them. What I do care about though is this: the addition of cheap legend and climax machines. They replace existing ones, and that's fine, to be honest. All these machines translate well into 3D. We're used to seeing them as 2D sprites on the handheld, so seeing them like this is pretty cool. The models really do not look out of place here. They did an excellent job adding them. So, it is time for my conclusion. What do I think of F-Zero GX Unleashed? It's good. Really good. I enjoyed every second I played it. It's lots of fun. Not surprising, to be honest. It's based on F-Zero GX, one of my favorite games of all time, so it's really difficult to make it bad. All the balance changes are great. Make the entire game feel different. But also the small changes help with achieving that, like the different color boosts or the new menu theme. It's nice to see some other changes other than just the machine's performances. Is it enjoyable for everyone? I think that's a solid yes. The gameplay feels very familiar, yet different enough so that it's enjoyable to replay the entire game again. The Grand Prix and story mode are all easier than before, more machines are usable, and the big list of different difficulty Staff Ghosts surely offer a fair challenge for everyone. I still highly recommend everyone to go and check it out though. I really should have played it earlier. Maybe I will look into mods and ROM hacks more from now on. There surely are more champs out there. Anyway, I had lots of fun and I hope you had some as well. Let me know if you've played GX Unleashed before and what you think about it. I'll go and work on the next video, so I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.